Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. In today's video, I want to talk about some interesting options that you could use that might be available to a lot of players. I'm going to focus particularly on champions that were guaranteed champions or fusion champions over the last couple of years that might actually be kind of clutch for your rebattles in Clan Siege. So, as you know, I did a whole video showing all of my rebattles. My goodness, you've got 6 battles in Mana Shrine 1. You've got another 6 in Mana Shrine 2. That's 12 battles total on top of your attacks, right? And you can only use your champions twice, right? So 12 battles, like, great. I can use Sifi for 2 of the 12, but, well, maybe I want to save her for my attacks. What do I use then next? So your champion pool, I think, actually gets really pinched when you want to max these out. Now, the rewards for doing this aren't that much. Honestly, you're getting a few mana orbs, but it is quite a lot of fun. So yeah, if you're, whenever you will eventually get a good clan siege where you end up fighting a weaker clan and you can push further forwards and take on those mana shrines and actually have some fun experimenting with some kind of lesser known champions. So let's dive in on the first ones I want to touch on. I think Alsgore and Jetney. This is actually a duo. Now, Alsgore just by himself is actually a fantastic option. I was actually planning to use him in I think my best possible defense might actually be a HP defense. Well, he is great for HP defenses. So number 1, he has a buff strip on a 3-turn cooldown. And number 2, he's got a 2-turn block damage on your whole team on a 4-turn cooldown. That's also fully healing a target ally. He does some healing with this A2 as well. And a resist in all battles aura. It's a very solid kit, honestly, for this mode, where people might be lacking speed auras, etc. For a go second team, he could be absolutely fantastic, right? You can really play around the block damage. He gives you a buff strip as well. Yeah, he's super, really, really strong. I think, people know about Helicath being really good. I think Alsgore comes in, and then partnering with him, Jetney the Giant, a former fusion that I think almost nobody used. But I think for some of these clan sieges, right, you might be going, you might not even have White King Narcisse, right? If you do, you might be saving him for your offenses. Well, what do you do when you run up against a really good shield champion in those rebattles? Well, Jetney's got a really cool passive. If Alsgore's on the same team, she just ignores shields on everything, which is pretty cool. She has an AoE that ignores defense and can put decreased defense. She's got a double hitter AoE that self-buffs and gives her an extra turn if she kills an enemy when Alsgore is there. Her A1 can stun or put decreased defense. She's actually quite a solid champion and could be quite a good, she could be quite a nifty option to stick in there. The two of them together could actually form a really good B team that might be surprisingly effective and give you some big counters to actually some pretty scary enemies. So I think they are very, very good. Next up, this one is probably the least surprising one, but I ended up using Uko a lot. This one's kind of a given, right? I think people are well aware of how good Uko is, especially because Uko was nerfed back in the day, right? Uko used to have 2 chances to place stun set, provoke set, and so on with his A2. That got nerfed. It now only happens once, but Uko's a great option. Uko does have a 20% speed in all battles aura, which is actually one of the better auras. I think 25% is the best, which is from mythicals. Some legendaries like Marishka have a 24%. 20% is real good, so very good speed aura, good base stats. But Uko is that chance to steal buffs. This can be clutch, right? Going up against enemy teams, hey, great, I can steal their buffs, right? You can strip their buffs on his A2. You can put him in a stun set, and he's got a chance to stun. He's got decreased attack. He's got revive with block damage. Yeah, it's just a really solid kit. Uko, probably you're going to be using. Like, Uko was one of my first picks for my B teams. Definitely coming in there. So a champion that's been known to be good in Arena in the past, definitely will be coming back in, even after the nerf. Next up then is another duo. I like these champions. No one else does, I feel. But Timit the Fool and Kaja the Rye. Guaranteed champion for Kaja came out before, and Timit was a fusion. Recently enough, I think that was last year. Actually very good here. So Timit brings you an accuracy aura in all battles, which is quite nice. Kaja brings you that speed in all battles aura, so you can kind of tweak it depending on what sort of enemy team you're fighting, which is nice. Now Kaja, on top of having a good speed aura, it's got very high base speed, and she does bring you turn meter boost with block debuffs and a cleanse, which is actually really nice. So she's a great option on top of being a tanky Spirit Affinity champion. she's actually a really good option to build like a faster team in, especially for your B teams here in this mode. She's also quite tanky. One fun thing I'm imagining we're not up against a crazy tough clan, but I'm imagining you might be fighting tons of defenses with Armans, and what the hell do you do? She can actually be a pretty interesting counter where, well, just by default, 50% less turn meter reduction. But if Timit's on the same team, she's immune to turn meter reduction, and she actually gains the turn meter. That can be quite nice against Armans. Basically, when he does his A2, he can't steal her turn meter. He's actually just going to fill it up and give her a turn straight. And she might be stunned, but she'll fill it up. He'll fill it up, and she can get some extra turns. It can be kind of a cool little combo to maybe give you a chance to fight back against Armans. I actually recorded a video on Timit and Kaja. I might actually redo that video on them as a sort of a budget counter to Armans. It's not super reliable, but it can give you a way to fight back, and that could be exactly what you need for some of these B team type fights. Timit, also quite nice. Again, against Armans, he's the right affinity, which is nice. But Timit comes in, he's got an AoE buff strip with an extra turn potentially if Kaja is there. AoE increase accuracy for your team, and then True Fear. You can build him actually to do decent damage with this because he's got sort of 2 nukes back to back. He could be a decent damage dealer. He can, with an accuracy aura and increase accuracy, he can like boost up a bomb champion or whatever. Crowd control champion, he can do decent damage. He can strip buffs. He can heal himself and bring crowd control as well. He's actually very nice. So they're a very, very good B team combo. I used them twice again in this first clan siege, and they were great. Touching on a champion, again, not many people would have used, but recent guaranteed. I got the guaranteed. Shennath, the most recent guaranteed champion. Again, not amazing, but could be very good for these B teams in Siege. So Shennath comes in with an AoE buff strip and then ignore defense AoE nuke. It's simple but effective. And Shennath does gain more accuracy for buffs on enemies and gets more crit damage for every debuff on enemies. So you've got 2 different ways to play her. But yeah, I think having a nuker that can strip buffs, you know, most people have Wukong, sure, but you can only use Wukong twice. Now you can have Shennath put in there as well. So obviously not an insanely powerful champion, but could be exactly what you need against certain teams here in Clan Siege, and could be a great option for a lot of people on a budget. Speaking of budget, a champion that's definitely well known, but again, could be fantastic here. Phenix, an epic champion, makes it in. Why does Phenix make it in? Well, I suspect you're going to be seeing, I think most of you will be seeing a lot of Sun Wukong, right? There's going to be a lot of Sun Wukong defenses. Phenix coming in with that block revive, that's super, super good. And you could put him in with an ally attack champion and potentially just take out a Sun Wukong with his A1 and then be chilling, right? Not have to worry. That is the threat removed from the enemy team, and we can slowly kill them off, the rest of them. I think that's great. Honestly, any block revive can go in here. I used a Foley, for instance, against Sun Wukong in my first fights, and that was great. But I think Phenix is, as an epic, a super accessible option, with epic empowerment even stronger now. And yeah, with ally attack, any ally attack really can bring him in and take it out. So that could be a great budget option for a lot of people to deal with probably an army of Sun Wukongs that are going to be in there. And you can bypass UDK with the ally attack as well, which is nice. Another champion that was a fusion and a guaranteed. He was both. Not enough just to be one. Nishak Vermin Lord. I think people just in general really underestimate bombs in Arena. Because, you know, it's not something that you see the top players doing super. They actually do it much more. It's funny. They do it way more. Top players use bombs way more than your average player does. Way more. But, you know, they also do a lot of fights, and you'd have a chunk of top players that wouldn't do it. But like in super top end Arena, obviously there's going to be Polymorph, there's Marishkas, which like really hard counter bombs. Yeah. But when those things aren't there, bombs can just win you fights straight up. Bombs could be massive for Siege, and could be a huge way to punch through enemy defenses that you otherwise couldn't. Nishak is a perfect example. Use a guaranteed and a fusion. But yeah, just the AoE bombs reduce their cooldown, reduce their duration. Yeah, great. Boom. Enemy team defeated. It could be super, super powerful. So don't sleep on bombs. Any bomb champion, I think Nishak's the perfect one, but any bomb champion could be clutch. To hit through a lot of these defenses, right? If you see an enemy team and they're slow, they don't have a good speed aura, and they don't have much polymorph, go in, bomb them, blow them up, do it, blow them up. Next up, then, she's super underrated. Super underrated. It's Arix. Arix comes in as a great damage option. She's a login champion. It does take a while to get her, but Arix is just super underrated in general in Arena. Again, you actually see her in top end play much more than in lower end play. She's one of those champions that's actually really good, but it's not sort of common knowledge amongst the general player base that she's super good for whatever reason. But yeah, Arix comes in. She's tanky. That's great. She also hits hard, and everything is an AoE. So again, that can give you constant damage against Sun Wukongs. She can survive without great support. She doesn't need increased attack or increased defense. And she can go in and slam enemy teams down. So Arix is a very strong option. She can also strip buffs with her A1, which is great. And she self-heals and gets turn meter on her passive. Great champion, super underrated. Brilliant arena champion. Such a good budget option. Obviously, you have to be fairly decently far into the game. Probably a year and a half or something to get her. But when you do, she is actually fantastic. So another obvious, I forgot this was on the list. I've got like 10 things on the list. Mithrala, this is a pretty obvious one. I will just mention it right now because the Serpent's Path is on. But if you've done the Serpent's Path and you get a 3 or 5, anywhere between up to 5-star soul for her from the Serpent's Path, Mithrala is going to be huge, again, for your B teams. You might even come into some of your A teams, right? Just giving you loads of buffs, loads of protection, increased attack and increased defense, so that works for any sort of team. She can protect you from bombs very, very well if the enemy has bombs. Great accuracy aura as well if you want to use bombs. So she is very flexible. And yeah, I think the fact that her souls are available at the moment, a lot of you are picking up those souls probably. She could be an amazing option. Like for me, definitely she was one of the first champions coming into my B teams because she just has so many buffs, makes the team so tanky. Great option. Another guaranteed champion, it was a while ago now, but Goffred. Goffred was one of the first ones I threw in. Like I was up against an enemy Georgia team. I'm going like, man, Georgia's nasty. And yeah, I can counter him with UDK. UDK can block the Georgia one shot. But, God, that's rough. I can only use UDK twice. What if there's a third Georgia? What do I do? Goffred can be great. Or there's a Rotus. What if I had to do a three Georgids, I only have UDK twice? Well, Goffred's a great option. A great way to deal with that. The reason is his passive. If an ally's about to be hit by a fatal hit, it blocks the damage and gives them block damage. Now, Rotus, and I think Georgia as well, probably can hit through block damage, but it doesn't hit through this. It still stops them. Now, Narcissus hits through it, but a lot of other champions don't. So this can just totally block that single target nuke and keep you alive and in the game. He can also bring you increased defense for your team, which is okay. He's got an AoE stun. That can be really good. Again, if they don't have protection from debuffs and crowd control, that can be great. You can also build Goffred to do some pretty decent damage as well. Like he can be a sort of a backup defense nuker. He can do a decent job. He is very underrated for sure. And yeah, he was a previous guaranteed champion. Definitely a powerful tool for your B teams there. And the last champion, again, another super underrated former guaranteed champion, I think from this year, Fatalis Blade Master. This guy gets so much hate. He's great for the siege, right? He's great. Why is he so good? Well, he's super tanky, no matter what. So he keeps giving himself a really big shield at the end of every turn, and he can't be crit while he's under that shield. So he is very tanky. You can just sort of put him into almost any team, and he's going to be very survivable. And yeah, he'll just keep going. It's just difficult for their defenses to kill him. And then on top of that, like he ramps up, right? So yeah, you're going in with a B team. He's a void damage dealer. He's HP based. He's super tanky. He's just very universal. He's very universally good. Again, he's a champion that like Biohack uses him. Check out Biohack's videos with Fatalis. Fatalis, again, sees decent play at the top end of live arena. But I think if you ask the general player base, they'll go, Fatalis sucks. He's absolutely useless. I'd never use him. And it's like, well, it's not quite true. Again, there's lots of things. People can be too close-minded about these things, I think, sometimes. Fatalis is really good. He can be genuinely really good. His damage isn't crazy high, but he's ramping up, and he can actually clinch you some wins, and he can be well worth using. Yeah, survivable. The aura, unfortunately, won't work, but he's just very survivable, and it makes it easy to throw him into a B team, and he can carry that B team to victory against Team Shennath. His sort of weakness, he'd be quite weak against Sun Wukong is quite a bad one, because Sun Wukong can steal his shield and put block buffs on him, stops him getting the shield. That's a bit rough, those sorts of things. But yeah, Fatalis, don't sleep on him. He can really help. He's also quite weak against Ultimate Death Knight because he's got so much single target. He'll keep hitting into UDK, and he can potentially one-shot a UDK if you proc Helm Smasher. But yeah. So there you go. Those are some. I tried a couple of them. Like, okay, Mithrala and Uko are, I think, are fairly well known. And a couple of others like Phenix and Arix are maybe, you know, some people use them a little bit. But I wanted to cover some of those B tier champions, some of the duos, some of the combos, some of the things to look out for that I think a lot of people might have, you know, have been gathering over the years or months, sitting in their vault, never really using them because they're not top tier, right? You know, when you're building your normal arena teams, you want to use all the S tier stuff you have. You don't really want to be dipping into the B tier or even the A tier if you can help it. You're trying to do everything S tier. Well, this is sort of the Hydra effect for arena, really, where you just need so many champions. You need so much stuff built. Like, I mean, we're a pretty high-end clan. Like, we've got a freaking, like an Archmage helmet came into a fight. Like, come on. When does Archmage helmet come into an arena fight? For, you know, a top end clan in the game? It just doesn't happen, but it does happen in this mode. So yeah, you're gonna, if you want to do these mana shrine stuff, like I said, it does seem to me to be fairly optional, fairly low rewards, but it is a fun challenge. And they might even buff the rewards in future. Who the heck knows? But if you want to do it, you might be building a whole bunch of champions you wouldn't otherwise. And hopefully I've given you some ideas in this video for stuff that might be in your vault that could be actually hard carrying certain fights. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any suggestions in the comments down below. I would be very curious to hear about your sneaky picks for those B team battles. And yeah, I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.